The week of the 2024 NFL Draft is here, and if you are excited for all the coverage, all the picks, all the stuff the Bengals are about to do in the next week, including UDFAs, then show it by liking today's video right now. Let's begin with one of the more popular Bengals draft targets, linked in mock drafts and rumors and speculation. That's Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. And as a very popular Bengals mock draft pick, and for good reason, shouldn't come as no surprise that ESPN has, in their latest 7-round mock draft, has the Bengals taking Byron Murphy. And if he's there, I don't think it would surprise many, if any, if he were the pick. Here's what Jordan Reid wrote on the selection. Losing DJ Reader hurts the middle of the Bengals defense, but Murphy is an explosive wrecking ball on the interior. He's a stout and high-effort run defender, and he's actually even more disruptive as a pass rusher, where his sudden movements help him quickly beat blockers. Murphy is an easy selection at this spot after the Bengals allowed a league-high 6.0 yards per play last season. To an extent, and maybe like top corner falls to the Bengals is the exception here, kind of feels like the likely draft scenario here for the Bengals is they take Byron Murphy, he's there, everyone's happy about it, or he's not there, and or they take an offensive lineman who will be their future, most likely right tackle down the road. Now, I do like Murphy. I am different than most, and I have Johnny Newton above him on my own personal board, which will be available at chatsports.com, by the way. But talking Newton at 15th overall, Murphy at 16 overall. So you're picking at 18, you take Byron Murphy, you're quote-unquote getting value in round 1. He's one of my pure first-round grades, at least, by the way. I've got 18 total. We do my first-round cheater grades, I've got 25 total. So there are plenty of value picks there for the Bengals. There's a bunch of offensive linemen I'm really intrigued by as well, but given the trend of if you want a top-tier defensive tackle, you have to take them early in the NFL draft, I get it. And I think the Bengals' trend might be to go more pass rush heavy at DT and figure out the run-stopping pure DJ Reader role later on. So round 1, let's say there's Byron Murphy and insert whatever offensive tackle you like, within reason. Joe Alt's not there. Who do you want? What side of the ball, what position would you rather draft? Kind of what's the bigger need if all things are equal? DT for defensive tackle, OT for offensive tackle. It's the pinned comment, by the way, on this video. Now, I would have no complaints about going in either direction. I think you're solidifying one of your biggest need spots. However, there's a very real chance that when we get to pick 18 on the clock, that decision has been made for you already. This is the reporting from this morning from ESPN's Adam Schefter. It feels as if most mock drafts predicting edge rusher Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player drafted Thursday night. And maybe he will be. But there are some front office executives who believe defensive tackle Byron Murphy out of Texas has a realistic chance of seizing that honor. It's possible a defender might not be picked until Atlanta at number 8 or Chicago at number 9. Murphy could be a consideration for both teams. He had 5 sacks last year, talented player, plays a coveted position, and has gotten clean character reports. He might interest new Falcons coach Raheem Morris, who had Aaron Donald dominate at that position when he was the coordinator in Los Angeles. Now, in the event Murphy's there, Johnny Newton could end up being there for you. And if you really want that defensive tackle, like I mentioned earlier, I would actually love that pick. Now, the consensus board will have him lower. It's fine. I loved what I saw out of Newton. Highly impactful against the pass, a really good run stopper as well. The biggest concern for him, frankly, is he's coming off that foot injury. Was able to do his pre-draft workout last week. Wasn't able to test, unfortunately. But I see disruption. I see 3 technique. I see 5 technique. There's a lot of things I like about Newton. The goal, by the way, and you can pencil this in now, whichever, if they do take one early, they take Newton or take Byron Murphy, just lock in the Geno Atkins comps. I don't love how every undersized DT gets the Geno Atkins comp because, you can't comp him to Aaron Donald, can you? But I think for Newton and Murphy, it's more fair than we would see for some other DT prospects over the years. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. With the Game Time app, you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and all-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. That could be for an FC Cincy game. That could be for a Reds game where I hope they're in contention come the end of the season again this year with a little bit more success. Anyway, the Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. That goes for sporting events, but also concert, comedy, theater, and anything else you can find on the Game Time. It's not just for sports, it's for any event you've got planned. So download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Now, if the Bengals don't want Newton or not as high on him, or they don't get Murphy, there are a lot of offensive tackle options in the top 20 of this year's draft, and I would bet a good amount of money at least one of them is there for you. So Joe Alt's not going to be there. There's no chance of that. These next 5 names, however, I think do have a chance. First up is Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Or Fashanu, excuse me. I remain very high on him. He is a top 10 player for me in this year's class. Now, for the Bengals specifically, he might be a little bit lower on their board because he would be a left tackle to right tackle flip. Because you're not going to play him at left tackle in the long or short term with Orlando Brown plugged in there. So you have to flip him over there. I think he's a better pass protector than he is run blocker. That doesn't necessarily bother me, though. I would actually rather have the pass protector. Talise Fuaga, next up here, is a right tackle. And some teams might view him as a guard, and that's what might be a potential red flag for the Bengals. But I saw him do great things on the right side of the offensive line. He was really, really good over there. So he's a top 10 player for me as well. Fashanu's 8, Fuaga is 9. A player that ended up being higher on than I thought I would be when it's all said and done is Troy Fautanu. Now, he might be lower on the Bengals board because he was a left tackle for Washington for the most part, and some teams view him as a guard. He's 12th overall on my board. I think that left side flexibility, I think he could play tackle. Now, maybe what you would do if you took him is maybe he's just your left guard, and maybe that's the route you go. I would not be surprised if the next 2 names, specifically for Cincinnati, what they like and what they need, would be higher on their boards. And I think Amarius Mims might be just okay, you know what? This is the upside pick. It's fine. And I would happily gamble on Amarius Mims. I see all the traits, the athletic ability, the size this team typically loves along the offensive line. Fuaga, Mims, and the next one to your moment all have that size. He's not raw. He's just inexperienced. But that does make it a small sample size and a risk. He's actually 14th overall on my board. I am not as high on others as JC Latham. He's 25th on my board. Now, there still is a second round grade on him, and I've only got 18 true first rounders, so it's not like it's a major reach. I just get worried about the athletic ability. I don't know how athletic he truly is, especially relative to these freaks like Fuaga and Fautanu and Mims are all freakazoid athletes. So is Alt, even Fashanu's a freak. Latham didn't test. Why not? He probably wasn't going to test that great, so he avoided it. But he fits the power player mold that the Bengals have typically liked along the offensive line. We will have you covered with all the Bengals draft coverage you need, reaction to the picks, grades after each round, UDFAs on Sunday. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/BengalsTV. When we're talking draft, we covered defensive line, offensive line, and yeah, you kind of got to talk about the elephant in the room. Could Brock Bowers be there for Cincinnati? Bleacher Report named him as the Bengals' ideal round 1 pick, saying, quote, there's a high probability that Brock Bowers isn't available at number 18 overall, but in the case that he is, it would be a home run selection for de facto GM Duke Tobin. While the offensive line remains a priority for Cincinnati, the ability to add a talent such as Bowers, who would not only expand a playbook, but also force teams to get lighter in the middle, would ultimately boost the run game as well. I think Brock Bowers is a popular dream round 1 pick for the Bengals. Doesn't mean it's all that likely. But who do you want to draft in round 1? Sound off in the comments. Bowers put up production that you just typically don't see out of a tight end. He was used on jet sweeps, and it worked well. That's unheard of for a tight end. Now, he also didn't test, which is a red flag. But unlike J.C. Latham, I saw him pull away from SEC secondary athletes. So he's pulling from safeties and corners. Okay, he's fast. At a certain point, you don't need the testing to confirm that. I would have liked to have had it, but still, he's 7th overall on my board. I don't think he gets down to Cincinnati. If he does, tight end's not your biggest need, maybe. Invest in it and call him your, Tyler Boyd replacement as well.